It was a Friday night, the air thick with humidity and anticipation. A local band played, their music barely audible above the chatter and laughter of the crowd. My brother Liam was away on a business trip, leaving his fiancée, Melissa, at home. We bumped into each other unexpectedly that night, or so I thought. As I navigated through the throng of people, a flash of familiar auburn hair caught my eye. Melissa was tucked away in a dimly lit corner, her back to me, deep in conversation with a man I didn't recognize. Curiosity piqued. I moved closer, hoping to catch her eye and say hello. Their hushed tones, laced with laughter, sent a chill down my spine. I stopped, frozen in place, as Melissa leaned in, her hand resting possessively on the man's arm. He whispered something in her ear, and she threw her head back, a giggle escaping her lips. Their body language was undeniable, the intimacy palpable. My heart pounded in my chest, a mixture of disbelief and nausea washing over me. I wanted to turn and run, to erase what I had seen, but something rooted me to the spot. It was the sight of Melissa's engagement ring, a sparkling diamond that Liam had poured his heart and savings into, glinting under the dim lights. The drive home was a blur. I didn't know what to do, how to process the betrayal I had witnessed. Liam was my brother, my confidant, and the thought of his fiancée's deceit cut me deeply. Sleep evaded me that night as I wrestled with the burden of what I knew. Should I tell him? Would he believe me? The next morning I called Liam. His voice, usually brimming with warmth and humor, sounded tired and distant. We chatted about his trip, the mundane details of our lives, before I finally worked up the courage to tell him what I had seen. Silence met my confession, a silence so profound that it amplified the roaring in my ears. When Liam finally spoke, his voice was cold, unfamiliar. He accused me of lying, of trying to sabotage his relationship out of jealousy. I was stunned. The brother I knew, the one who always had my back, was gone, replaced by a stranger blinded by love or perhaps denial. The news spread through our family like wildfire. My parents, desperate to preserve their son's happiness, sided with Liam. I was labeled a liar, a troublemaker, the villain in their love story. The weight of their judgment, their disbelief, was suffocating. Years passed. Liam and Melissa got married. I kept my distance, the memory of that night a bitter pill I couldn't swallow. The joy in their eyes felt like a constant reminder of the lie they were living, the truth I carried alone. The pain of being ostracized by my own family, of being branded a liar, left an indelible mark. It shook my sense of self, made me question my own judgment. I retreated into myself, seeking solace in the company of friends who offered unwavering support. They listened without judgment, their empathy a soothing balm on the raw wound of betrayal. They reminded me that my worth wasn't determined by the opinions of others, that my integrity was my own. Over time, I learned to compartmentalize. I focused on my own life, my career, my own journey of healing. The hurt remained, a dull ache in the back of my mind, but I refused to let it define me. I learned the hard way that sometimes the greatest act of self-love is walking away from those who refuse to see your truth. Then out of the blue I received a call. It was Liam. His voice, older now, was laced with regret and desperation. He told me he was getting divorced. Melissa had been unfaithful, he confessed, just as I had said all those years ago. He needed my help. He was requesting me to testify in court. The irony wasn't lost on me. The brother who had once shunned me, who had doubted my word and pushed me away, was now pleading for my help. A part of me wanted to refuse, to tell him to fight his own battles, to remind him of the pain he had caused. But as I listened to the desperation in his voice, the years of anger and resentment began to dissipate, replaced by a wave of sadness. This wasn't about revenge, it was about truth. It was about Liam finally facing the reality he had been so determined to ignore. I knew then what I had to do.